Hello everyone, my name is Braden. This is Airless Quill 9, and in today's video, we're going to take a look at the 2024 Ranger. So, the Ranger that appears here is from the 2024 Player's Handbook. This is the Ranger that I currently have on the left side of my screen, and on the right side we have the 2014 Ranger. So we are going to give a look at each, compare, and see what changes were made, and I'll give you my thoughts on them. So, as you can see here, we have the artwork for the 2024 Ranger. Some pretty decent artwork. I love this Mylodon that is on the side here. I believe it's Mylodon. Saber tooth. And we have our Ranger character here. Some pretty fantastic art here by Chris Rollis. Pretty nice. A wandering warrior imbued with primal magic. And then over here, we have our old artwork for the 2014 Ranger. Pretty simplistic. Not too bad though. Alrighty, let's get into the first changes. So, the Ranger. Our primary abilities are Dexterity and Wisdom. Makes perfect sense. Those were pretty much the primary abilities of before. Our hit point die are still D10s, which is great. Our saving throw proficiencies are Strength and Dexterity. This has not changed. Our skill proficiencies, we choose 3 from Animal Handling, Athletics, Insight, Investigation, Nature, Perception, Stealth, and Survival. Those have not changed. Our weapon proficiencies are Simple and Martial Weapons. This is the same here. And then for armor training, we get light and medium armor and shields. So these are all the same. For starting equipment, we choose A or B. A gives us studded leather armor, which is an improvement over leather armor. A scimitar, a short sword, a longbow, 20 arrows, a quiver, a druidic focus, which is a sprig of mistletoe, specific druidic focus, an explorer's pack, and 7 gold pieces. Or we can take 150 gold pieces. Choose equipment from. Alrighty. Now, let's look at the main changes to the Ranger features table. So, starting off, we now get spellcasting at first level, which is a major improvement because this means this means that if we were to multi-class, we will now add half of our Ranger levels rounded up to calculate spell slots whenever we multi-class into or out of Ranger, which is pretty great. Also, other changes here, we have weapon masteries at level 1. We get the Deft Explorer feature at level 2, which is new. Fighting style is still at level 2. Ranger subclasses is still at levels 3, 7, and or 3, 7, 11, and 15. That has not changed. We get a new feature called Roving at 6th level. There are improvements to Favored Enemy. Natural Explorer has been completely removed, by the way. And Favored Enemy has completely changed. Let's see. At 9th level, we get Expertise, which is pretty nice. At 10th level, we get a new feature called Tireless. Hide in Plain Sight has been removed. We get Relentless Hunter at 13th level. We get Nature's Veil at 14th level. This has replaced Vanish. We get Precise Hunter at 17th level. Feral Senses has been changed, but is still here at 18th level. And then Foe Slayer is at 20th level still, but this feature is also completely changed. And then, of course, our 19th level ability score improvement has been changed into an epic boon. Pretty nice. Also, some changes here. We have our favored enemy column, which has a number of uses attached to it that scales at pretty much exactly when it scales at the same rate as your proficiency bonus does. It's just not tied to your proficiency bonus in any way, which is nice. That's just to help with help make multi-classing not as powerful. And then we also have our prepared spells column, which starts at 2 spells and gradually increases all the way up to 15 spells. And this is also nice because we also, most of the subclasses as well get always prepared spells. So this is pretty good here. All right, so let's talk about main changes. So yes, spellcasting starts at first level. This is very good for multi-classing here. Whenever we Oh, sorry. So all spells are now prepared spells, which I think the old one was prepared spells as well. No, actually, I think they were known spells. Yeah, they were spells known. So this is a complete change. And to keep in mind, whenever you finish a long rest, you can replace one of the spells on your prepared list, which is pretty great. And they have added in here that you could use a druidic focus for your spellcasting focus, or as the spellcasting focus for your ranger spells. You could not have a spell focus for ranger spells previously until they released Tasha's. So this is a pretty welcome change here. All right, so first level, favored enemy has been completely changed. So the new favorite enemy lets us always have the Hunter's Mark spell prepared. It lets us cast it twice without expending a spell slot, and we regain all expended uses of the ability whenever we finish a long rest. And the number of uses that we can use this feature increases as we gain certain ranger levels. So it actually scales with the proficiency bonus levels, so you'll get an additional use at levels 5, 9, 13, and 17. So it goes all the way up to 6 free castings of Hunter's Mark, which is pretty great. Or free uses, free castings of Hunter's Mark is pretty great. Also at level 1, we get Weapon Mastery. This lets us choose 2 kinds of weapons of our choice, in which we have proficiency to gain the mastery property abilities of. And whenever we finish a long rest, we can change one of our weapons that we chose for this feature. So you can mix and match whenever you gain access to different weapons that you want to use, which is pretty nice. And if you really wanted more than 2, you could always pick up the weapon master feat, I believe is what it's called. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember for sure. There is a feat that lets you gain an additional weapon mastery. So if you really wanted to do that, otherwise 2 should be plenty for a ranger. So this is pretty good. Deft Explorer was a feature that we saw in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. It was an optional feature for rangers. Here they have made it a permanent feature of the new class, but they've also split it. Also had additional things in it that they've split up into multiple different features, as we'll see later on. So Deft Explorer gives you expertise in one skill that you're proficient in that lacks expertise, which is pretty great. And then you also know 2 languages of your choice from the languages table, which is also pretty good. At level 2, we get our fighting style. So we actually gain access to every single fighting style because you gain one of the fighting style feats. So our options there have been opened up quite a bit. Before we just had access to archery, defense, dueling, and 2-weapon fighting. So we have quite a few more options. So now if you really wanted to, you could go You could play a sword and shield ranger if you wanted to and take the protection fighting style, which has been greatly improved. You could also, if you really wanted to, play a strength-based ranger and take the great weapon master or great weapon fighting style. Not great weapon master, the great weapon fighting style. So you could play like a really beefy ranger if you wanted to and use two-handed weapons, which is pretty neat. I like the versatility of that. Also, optionally, if you don't want to take a fighting style feat, you could instead choose the Druidic Warrior option, which gives you two Druid cantrips of your choice. Guidance and Starry Wisp are recommended, and those are two pretty good options. Starry Wisp is at least good because it is a ranged attack roll cantrip that deals radiant damage. It also prevents the target from having the invisible condition until the end of your next turn. And it's 1d8 radiant damage, which isn't bad. So you might not want to take an attack cantrip since ideally you're going to be making weapon attacks as your attack action or as your action. So you may just want some versatility cantrips instead, but you have the option there. And whenever you gain a ranged level, you can swap one of the cantrips that you chose before. So if you don't like an option, you can swap it whenever you level up, which is pretty great. So yeah, at level 3, we get our Ranger subclass. The options that we have in this player's handbook are the Beastmaster, the Fey Wanderer, the Gloomstalker, and the Hunter subclasses. In the old player's handbook, all we had were the Hunter and the Beastmaster. So we get twice as many subclass options, which is pretty great. At levels 4, 8, 12, and 16, we gain an ability score improvement feat or another feat of our choice for which we qualify. So this is pretty great. At 5th level, we get our extra attack, which is great. At level 6, we get roving. This increases our speed by 10 feet while we aren't wearing heavy armor, and also grants us a climb and a swim speed equal to our speed. That's pretty cool. At level 9, we gain or we choose 2 of our skill proficiencies which lack expertise, and we gain expertise in those skills. So you should, by 9th level, have 3 expertise, which is pretty great. At level 10, we gain Tireless, which grants us 2 benefits. The first is temporary hit points. As a magic action, we can give ourselves a number of temporary hit points equal to 1d8 plus our wisdom modifier. We can use this a number of times equal to our wisdom modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. This is pretty decent. I would greatly suggest when you use this feature to use it outside of combat. So after a combat, I would use this feature to give yourself temporary hit points so that you have those prepared whenever you enter your next combat. Those temporary hit points only go away after you lose them or when you take a long rest. So I would buff yourself up with these temporary hit points after every combat so that you have these available to you. Also, additionally, we gain decreased exhaustion. Whenever we finish a short rest, your exhaustion level, if any, decreases by 1. This is a pretty niche feature, but if you deal with exhaustion quite a bit, this is pretty great. Just being able to get rid of a level of exhaustion whenever you finish a short rest is very decent. It's also completely unique. No other class can do this. So I really like that. That's really cool. All right, at level 13, we gain a new feature called Relentless Hunter. Whenever, so this feature says taking damage can't break our concentration on Hunter's Mark. This is nice, but this is quite late in the game, which kind of sucks. At level 14, we get Nature's Veil. As a bonus action, we can give ourselves the invisible condition until the end of our next turn. this is pretty good because you could potentially use this, have invisibility for the entire turn you use it, and then have invisibility on the entirety of your next turn as well. So you can get a lot of use out of this feature. For reference, the old well, and Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, we also got Nature's Veil. Granted, we got it at 10th level, but it only lasts until the start of our next turn. So this is a buff, even though we do get it 4 levels late, but this is a pretty welcome buff. You're going to get some pretty good use out of it. Also, additionally, we can use this feature a number of times equal to our wisdom modifier, and we regain all expended uses when we finish a long rest. Used to be proficiency bonus uses, so you could potentially have more uses at this level as long as you're leveling up your wisdom modifier. So yeah, Nature's Veil is pretty decent. At 17th level, we gain Precise Hunter. This gives us advantage on attack rolls against the creature currently marked by our Hunter's Mark spell, which is decent, but again, this is 17th level, so this is quite late in the game. But advantage is good. I don't want to downplay that. At level 18, we get Feral Senses. This gives us Blind Sight with a range of 30 feet, which is pretty great. The old version of this just said that not being able to see a creature didn't give us disadvantage on our attack rolls against it. And we also became aware of any invisible creatures within 30 feet of yourself as long as we weren't blinded or deafened. This is essentially exactly what Blind Sight does. So they've really just simplified uh, this feature so that it is a lot easier to translate what it's supposed to do. So yeah, I do like this specific change. At level 19, you gain an Epic Boon feat or another feat of our choice which you qualify. You should choose an Epic Boon feat. The one they recommend here is the Boon of Dimensional Travel. However, the boon of Dimensional Travel is pretty great. It just says whenever you take the attack action or the magic action, you can teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see, or immediately after you do so. So this is not too bad. However, I believe my personal choice here would be the boon of irresistible offense, which whenever you roll a 20 on the d20 for an attack roll, you deal extra damage to the target equal to the ability score you increase with this feat. So that's pretty great, in my opinion. There's also quite a few other options you could choose here. Like the boon of speed would be pretty great because it increases your speed by 30 feet. And at this point, that would make your speed 70 feet potentially in a round because it should already be 40 because you shouldn't by any means be wearing heavy armor, ideally. But yeah, there's some good options here. And then finally at level 20, we get our capstone feature, Foe Slayer. This has been completely changed. What the new feature is the damage die of our Hunter's Mark is a D10 instead of a D8. This kind of sucks, unfortunately. I mean, it's nice that our Hunter's Mark is a D10 instead of a D6, but this is a really lacking capstone feature, in my opinion. So, spell casting, or spells in general, what changes have they done? Well, not too much, honestly. They've increased the healing of all healing spells. So, Cure Wounds is going to heal a lot more, which is pretty good. We do get Entangle added into our spell list here. Searing Smite is not included, by the way. Hunter's Mark has been slightly changed. It now deals extra force damage, which is interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, we do get Aid and Enhanced Ability and Gust of Wind and Magic Weapon. and Summon Beast added here at second level, which is pretty good. Do keep in mind that Magic Weapon is no longer a concentration spell, which is pretty great. At third level, we did get Elemental Weapon, Meld into Stone, Revivify, and Summon Fey added at third level spells, which is pretty good. And then at fourth level, we got Dominate Beast and Summon Elemental added in, which is pretty good. Do keep in mind that all the Conjure spells have been updated as well. So Conjure Woodland Beings is a completely different spell at this point. Pretty cool. So is Conjure Animals has been completely changed. And then at fifth level, we had Greater Restoration added into our spell list here. And then Still Wind Strike is also technically new because it was not in the old player's handbook, which Still Wind Strike is a very good spell. Also, Swift Quiver has been updated technically. Um, the new thing about it is whenever you cast a spell, you can, as part of that casting, make the 2 attacks that this feature gives you as the bonus action you cast it, instead of having to wait till your next turn to do it. So that is a slight improvement to that spell. Do keep in mind that Swift Quiver is concentration though. So if you cast a spell, you can't also have Hunter's Mark available. Kind of sucks. Alright, so let's get into subclasses. Let me take a drink of water. So, Beast Master has seen quite a few improvements. Here's the art that we have for the Beast Master, which is cool. Have this primal beast that is aiding our ranger here. So let's talk about changes here. So Primal Companion is completely different from Ranger's Companion. It has been greatly improved. It actually has more similarities to the optional, uh, the reworked feature that was seen in Tasha's called Primal Companion, I believe. So now, whatever. So we summon a primal beast. We get to choose its stat block. It's either a beast of the land, beast of the sea, or beast of the sky. This determines the abilities that it has access to. The beast is friendly to us and our allies and obeys our commands. It vanishes if we die, or it can technically die. In combat, it acts during our turn. It can move and use its reaction on its own. The only action it takes is the dodge action unless we use a bonus action to command it to take an action in stat block or some other action. We can also sacrifice one of our attacks when we take the attack action to command the beast to take the beast strike action. If we have the incapacitated condition, the beast acts on its own and isn't limited to the dodge action, which is cool. But if I don't know why this is added in here. If um, I don't know why this is a thing. If we can't just do that normally, that is kind of odd. Restoring or replacing the beast. So if the beast has died within the last hour, we can take a magic action to touch it and expend a spell slot of any level. The beast returns to life after 1 minute with all of its hit points restored, which is great. And whenever we finish a long rest, we can summon a different primal beast, which appears in an unoccupied space within 5 feet of us. We get to choose its stat block and appearance. And if we already have a beast from this feature, the old one vanishes when the new one appears. So let's talk about these stat blocks here. So these are all medium beasts. They all have neutral alignment. They all have different mod ability scores. All their ability scores are slightly different. However, their ACs are all 13 plus wisdom modifier, which is pretty great. HP for the Beast of the Land and Beast of the Sea is 5 plus 5 times your ranger level. The Beast of the Sky is 4 plus 4 times your ranger's level, slightly lower. The Beast of the Land has a 40-foot speed and a 40-foot climb speed. The Beast of the Sea has a 5-foot speed and a 60-foot swim speed. And the Beast of the Sky has a 10-foot speed and a 60-foot fly speed. All of the beasts have dark vision of 60 feet, and they all have passive perception of 12. They all understand the languages that we know, which is good. That means we communicate with them. They do not technically have a CR, and they have an XP of 0, so killing your own beast will not provide you with any level ups. They all get this primal bond trait, which lets them add our proficiency bonus to any ability checks or saving throws that they make, which is pretty great. The Beast of the Sea has the amphibious trait, so it can breathe air and water, which is good. And then the Beast of the Sky has the flyby trait, so it doesn't provoke opportunities when it flies out of an enemy's reach. That's really good. Additionally, all beasts have a Beast Strike action, which is their attack. The bonus of all these attacks is equal to your all attack modifier. They all have a reach of 5 feet. The Beast of the Land strike deals 1d8 plus 2 plus their wisdom modifier and bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing. You get to choose when you summon the beast. If the beast moves at least 20 feet straight towards the target before the hit, the target takes an extra 1d6 damage of the same type, and the target has the prone condition if it is large or smaller. That's pretty good. And this is unique to the Beast of the Land, which is cool. The Beast of the Sea, its attack deals 1d6 plus 2 plus their wisdom modifier, bludgeoning or piercing damage. We choose which when we summon the beast. And the target has the grappled condition. And the escape DC is equal to our spell save DC. So that's pretty great. Then the Beast of the Sky, its attack deals 1d4 plus 3 plus our wisdom modifier and slashing damage. This is the lowest of the pack, but it does have the benefits of flying and flyby, so that's pretty decent. So yeah, that's not a bad option here. Obviously, if you want to deal the most damage possible, you want to go with Beast of the Land. If you're playing in a nautical campaign or have to deal with water in any scenario, you're going to want to use the Beast of the Sea. And then if you really just want your beast to provide you some aid and get in and out of combat and just pick off enemies with its attacks, then you're going to want to choose Beast of the Sky. So, yeah, these are pretty decent options. It's very good that they scale with your wisdom modifier, so you are going to want to make sure that you do focus on scaling that up with you as you level, because not only does it increase your AC, but it will also increase the damage that the creature deals as well, which is pretty great. I just recently, yesterday, the day before I filmed this video, played a Beastmaster Ranger to try it out, and being able to deal 1d8 plus 2 plus your wisdom modifier and damage as a bonus action really increases your damage potential at early levels. So that was pretty great. I had a 16 wisdom. So I was dealing 1d8 plus 5 damage with my beast as my bonus action, which was pretty good. So this is really decent. And then when you do add that extra d6 and prone the target, that also feels really good. Because I did have a Beast of the Land. So yeah, this is a great improvement over the old Ranger's Companion, which sucked bad. Alright, at 7th level, we get Exceptional Training. So, when we take a bonus action to command our primal beast or primal companion beast to take an action, we can also command it to take the dash, disengage, dodge, or help action using its bonus action. So this is pretty versatile because the beast doesn't have anything to use its bonus action with yet. And this really gives some great options here. Dash is great if you're quite far away, especially if you're playing a smaller character. You could mount to your bestial companion or your primal companion and use the beast to get into combat, which is great. Disengage is great if you need to get your primal companion out of the combat because they're taking a lot of damage. Dodge is decent, especially as a bonus action because previously you could only make it take the dodge action if you didn't use your bonus action to command it. Now you can make it attack as its action and it could dodge on the same turn, so that's double the potency of it. And then the help action is also great because you could have your companion give you advantage on your attack roll, on your next attack, on the attack roll that you're about to take. So that's pretty great as well. Also, in addition, whenever the primal companion hits with an attack roll and deals damage, it can deal force damage or its normal damage type. This is to help bypass damage resistances. And this is a change that is done all across all the classes because I don't believe monsters are going, or I don't believe a whole lot of monsters are going to have resistance or immunity to non magical attacks and damage anymore. I think they're cutting that out of most monsters. So, force damage is essentially what magical damage is going to be in this updated edition. So, yeah, this is a good change here. This will bypass any damage resistances or immunities, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. At 11th level, whenever we command our primal beast to take the beast strike action, it can use it twice. So that is pretty great. That means when we command it as a bonus action, it can take its action to use primal strike or to use beast strike twice. This also technically means that we can also sacrifice one of our attacks from our attack action and make it attack twice. So if you really wanted to maximize this, you can make one attack on your turn and then command your beast twice and have it make 4 attacks for its turn. So yeah, that's pretty great. Because Primal Companion does not specify that you can only do one or the other. It just says that you could command it as a bonus action, and you can also sacrifice one of your attacks to make it take the attack action. So, yeah, you can really maximize your potential with this. In addition, the first time each turn it hits a creature under the effect of your Hunter's Mark spell, the beast deals extra force damage equal to the bonus damage of that spell. This isn't a lot, but it does increase. It does give the primal companion extra d6 damage, which is all right. It's really the first part that we really care about from this. This is the good part. This is just a little something extra. And then at 15th level, we get share spells. Whenever you cast a spell targeting yourself, you can also affect your primal companion beast with the spell if the beast is within 30 feet of you. This is pretty great. Some really good options here would be conjure animals or conjure woodland beings would also be great. You could also use stone skin technically to give yourself resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage. So that could also affect your companion. There are definitely some other options here as well. Elemental weapon would be a great option. Enhance ability would also technically work. So there are quite a few options available to you here. So that is pretty great. Um, Also, this is as long as the beast is within 30 feet of you. So yeah, share spells is decent, depending on what spell you decide to cast on yourself. Could really maximize the potential with it. So yeah, yeah. The Beast Master is greatly improved. It has an insane amount of damage potential because of the options available to it, and it is extremely versatile. Granted, the only downside to this subclass is if you're wanting to get use out of your hunter's mark, you will have to sacrifice, or you will have to use your first turn casting hunter's mark and then have your beast just take the dodge action because you won't be able to command it on the same turn. So you're really only getting your beast online on your second turn, which is a downside, but you could also technically sacrifice one of your attacks to command it on the same turn as long as you're fifth level. So not as much of a downside as one might think, but it is a small conflict. However, you should get some very versatile use out of this subclass, and it is a major improvement over the 2014 version. I'm having some congestion today. So, the next subclass that we have here is the Fey Wanderer. So, the Fey Wanderer first appeared in, I want to say, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And it has had some small changes. There's really not much to talk about. So Dreadful Strikes. Oh, also here's our art of the Fey Wanderer, which is pretty cool. Got a nice dashing looking character with poison leaking off its blade, which is pretty cool. All right, so at level 3, we get Dreadful Strikes. Whenever we hit a creature with a weapon, we can deal an extra 1d4 psychic damage to the target, which can take this extra damage only once per turn. The extra damage increases to 1d6 when you reach Ranger level 11. If you really want to maximize Dreadful Strikes, you're going to want to attack us. You're really going to want to make sure that your attacks target different creatures every round because you can deal this additional damage to other creatures. You just can't deal it more than once to the same creature per turn. So as soon as you get extra attack, make your first attack against one creature and then your second attack against another creature. And as long as you do that, you can make sure that you deal this extra damage on each attack. So there is way to get around this singular damage. So you can really maximize it if you so wish. But I mean, extra damage is pretty good. At Also at third level, we get Fey Wanderer spells. This gives us the Charm Person spell at third level, the Misty Step spell at fifth level, the Summon Fey spell at ninth level, the Dimension Door spell at 13th level, and the Mislead spell at 17th level. The only change here is Dispel Magic at ninth level. But if I remember correctly, Rangers now get Dispel Magic as a spell option. So this isn't as much of a downside because they can prepare this if they so wish. Also, these spells are always prepared as long as you are the level listed in the table. Pretty good. Additionally, you also get a Fey Blessing, which you can choose one or roll for it randomly. They're just small effects that give you a certain uh give you a special flavor to the character. It likes smelling faintly of cinnamon, lavender, nutmeg, or another comforting herb or spice. That's kind of a nice one. I like that a lot. Also at third level, we do get one more feature. This is otherworldly glamour. Whenever we make a charisma check, we gain a bonus to the check equal to our wisdom modifier. We also gain proficiency in one of these skills of our choice, deception, performance, or persuasion. So that's also pretty nice. So yeah, you're going to be a pretty charismatic ranger, considering you do get additional bonuses to your charisma checks, which is pretty great. At 7th level, we have advantage on saving throws to avoid the charmed or frightened condition, or to avoid or end the charmed or frightened condition. In addition, whenever you or a creature within 120 feet of you succeeds on a saving throw to avoid or end the charmed or frightened condition, we can take a reaction to force a different creature that we can see within 120 feet of ourselves to make a wisdom saving throw against our spell save DC. On a failed save, the target is charmed or frightened. We get to choose which for 1 minute. The target repeats the save at the end of each turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. So that's a decent addition. This is honestly the really nice bonus of this feature, but this is just an additional thing that we can do. So it's not bad. It's not crazy good, but charmed or and frightened are good conditions to oppose on a creature. So that is a decent boost. So yeah, not bad at all. At 11th level, we gain Fey reinforcements. You can you can cast Summon Fey without a material component. You can also cast it once without a spell slot, and you regain the ability to cast it in this way when you finish a long rest. Whenever you start casting the spell, you can modify it so that it doesn't require concentration. If you do so, the spell's duration becomes 1 minute for that casting. So this is a pretty good improvement. This means that whenever we reach 11th level, we could summon a Fey on our turn without a spell slot, and we could also do it without concentration so that we can focus on concentrating on a different spell, such as Hunter's Mark, without it having or without it conflicting with our concentration. So this will help increase our damage at later levels, and really a decent feature overall. So yeah, this is a pretty good feature, especially here at this level. At level 15, we get Misty Wanderer. This lets us cast Misty Step without expending a spell slot, a number of times equal to our Wisdom modifier, and we regain all expended uses when we finish a long rest. That is pretty great there. That means we could Misty Step for free on number of turns equal to our wisdom modifier per long rest. That's pretty great. Free casting's a Misty Step. Not going to complain about it. In addition, whenever we do cast Misty Step, so this doesn't just include casting it with this specific feature. We can also bring along one willing creature that we can see within 5 feet of ourselves, which is teleported to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of our destination space. So not only can you Misty Step for free on your turn, but whenever you do Misty Step, you can bring along one of your allies with you. So that's pretty great there. This is an awesome feature. It is late in the game, but really good one. Not going to complain about it. So yeah, Fey Wanderer is a pretty decent subclass. Gloomstalker is one of our updated options here. We get at 3rd level. So let's talk about it because it has seen some changes from the old Gloomstalker. So at 3rd level, we get Dread Ambusher. This gives us some benefits. First off, we get Ambusher's Leap. At the start of our first turn of each combat, our speed increases by 10 feet until the end of that turn. We also get Dreadful Strike. Whenever we attack a creature and hit it with a weapon, we can deal an extra 2d6 psychic damage to it. We can also use this benefit only once per turn, but we can use it a number of times equal to our wisdom modifier and regain all expended uses to finish a long rest. Additionally, we also get initiative bonus. Whenever we roll initiative, we can add our wisdom modifier to the roll. So, let's talk about this. So, these are all things that are present in the old Dread Ambusher. The main change here is that whenever we took the attack action on the first turn of combat, we can make an additional weapon attack. So that is the part that they have changed. Well, that attack also dealt an extra 1d8 damage. So that is the change that they made here. Is they changed the Dreadful Strike portion here. Now, 2d6 extra damage is pretty good. It possibly will be the same amount of damage as that extra attack. And we do get additional uses of it. So it won't be, you may not be able to use it every combat, but you can use it multiple times in the same combat if you so wish. So there are some improvements about it, some downsides to it. Also, psychic damage is a rarely resisted damage type, so you will definitely get use out of this. Also, this does get improved here at later levels. So Dread Ambusher is honestly really good. It is about the same power level as the old Dread Ambusher. There's really not it is not a big enough change for there to be a lot of complaints about. It functions essentially the exact same way. You still get to deal extra damage with it, so yeah, this is pretty much just as potent as the old version. It just works slightly different, but we still get all the same benefits. So yeah, this is an okay change. At third level, we do get some always prepared spells. At third level, we get Disguise Self. Fifth level, we get Rope Trick. Ninth level is Fear. 13th level is Greater Invisibility. 17th level is Seeming. This has not changed from the old version. These are all the same. Also at third level, we get Umbral Sight. We gain Dark Vision with a range of 60 feet. If we already have Dark Vision when we gain the feature, range increases by 60 feet. Previously, this was a 30 feet increase, so this is an improvement there. Um, Also, while entirely in darkness, we have the invisible condition to any creature that relies on dark vision to see in that darkness. So this is also in the old version. It has not changed. So yeah, Gloomstalker looking pretty great so far. Also, here's the art for the Gloomstalker. Pretty cool. At 7th level, we get Iron Mind. So this gives us proficiency in wisdom saving throws. However, if for some reason we already have proficiency in wisdom saving throws, you instead gain proficiency in intelligence or intelligence or charisma saving throws. You get to choose one. So yeah, this is great because it gives you a pretty great saving throw proficiency. Wisdom saving throws are very popular. So yeah, this will protect you against mind altering effects. At 11th level, we get Stalker's Flurry. So the psychic damage of our Dreadful Strike becomes 2d8. This is a pretty great improvement. This is an average damage increase of about maybe 2 per se, but it's potentially an extra 4 because of the die size increase. So it's not a crazy boost, but it is a decent boost. Also, whenever we use Dreadful Strike, We can also cause one of the following additional effects. So there is another improvement to this. Sudden strike. We can make another attack with the same weapon against a different creature that is within 5 feet of the original target, and that is within the weapon's range. So there is our extra attack. So can't feel too sorry about not getting it at third level when we do get it at this level. And we're also dealing a bunch of extra damage as well. Uh, or if you don't want to get that extra attack, you can choose Mass Fear. The target and each creature within 10 feet of it must make a Wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failed save, a creature has the frightened condition until the start of your next turn. This is a pretty great feature as well because frightened is quite potent. I don't know if I'd want to use it over the sudden strike just because this has a lot. It has extra damage potential, and usually more damage is more useful than just frightening creatures. But at least it gives us the option of doing either or. So yeah, this is a pretty great improvement. To Dreadful Strike, it needed it. At fifth level, we get Shadowy Dodge. So whenever a creature makes an attack roll against you, you can take a reaction to impose disadvantage on that roll. Then, whether the attack hits or misses, we can teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space that we can see. So not only does this ability have the option of making the attack miss you, but then you can also reposition yourself so that that creature could potentially not make any other attacks against you. And it doesn't have a number of uses either. So, um, you could use this every turn if you wanted to, as long as you have your reaction available. But you don't have many reaction features as a ranger. So yeah, you should get some decent use out of this. So overall, I think Gloomstalker is about the same power level as the old one. It has seen some slight changes here, but they are decent changes. It has not changed the power level of this subclass, so it's still one of the most powerful ones available to you, and you'll get some decent uses out of it. So yeah, no complaints there. Hunter. Hunter is the milk toast subclass that everyone knows and some people love. But let's talk about the changes because there are quite a few actually. Here's our cool art here by Katarina Ledon. Some decent stuff here. Very rangery. I'm sad that there is a bird here because you can't really have a bird companion with this subclass. Would have been nice if they let you cast Find Familiar because that would have been decent. But yeah, let's look at changes. So at third level, we get a new feature called Hunter's Lore. While a creature is marked by our Hunter's Mark spell, we know whether that creature has any immunities, resistances, or vulnerabilities, and if the creature has any, we know what they are. So that's pretty great. That is a useful information that we can gain on our turn, and it is then information that we can spread to our allies. So yeah, knowing how to take down a creature is pretty useful information. Pretty great. Also, at third level, we gain Hunter's Prey, which is similar to the old version, but it has been greatly improved. So, whenever we finish a short or long rest, we can replace the chosen option with another one. We do get to choose which one we have available to us when we gain the feature, but it is something that we can change repeatedly if we need to based on the situation that we find ourselves in. So that by itself is a major improvement. Being able to swap it out makes it so much better. So, the options available to us are Colossus Slayer and Horde Breaker. We no longer have Giant Killer, but a lot of people didn't use Giant Killer, so I don't think that's really much of a downside. So Colossus Slayer just says when you hit a creature with a weapon, the weapon deals an extra 1d8 damage to the target if it's missing any of its hit points. We can deal this extra damage only once per turn, which is alright. Horde Breaker says once on each of your turns, when you make an attack with a weapon, you can make another attack with the same weapon against a different creature that is within 5 feet of the original target, that is within the weapon's range, and that you haven't attacked this turn. So that's also really good. Yeah, some really decent features there. And like I said, the ability to swap them out whenever you finish a short or long rest makes it infinitely better. So depending on the situation that you find yourself in, you can really prep yourself for combat. Level 7, we get defensive tactics. So we gain one of these features of our choice, and when we finish a short or long rest, we can replace the chosen option with another one. So there's also additional versatility there. Um, Steel Wheel has been removed, but then again, a lot of people didn't take it unless they were probably fighting maybe a dragon. But then again, you're probably going to want to be choosing one of the other options anyway, so this is not much of a detriment. So the options we get here are Escape the Horde. Opportunity attacks have disadvantage against you, which is pretty great. And multi-attack defense. When a creature hits you with an attack roll, that creature has disadvantage on all other attack rolls against you this turn. This is pretty great here. This is the one that most people. So yeah, pretty good. At level 11 as well, or not as well. At level 11, we get Superior Hunter's Prey. Once per turn, when we deal damage to a creature marked by our Hunter's Mark, we can also deal that spell's extra damage to a different creature that you can see within 30 feet of the first creature. This isn't crazy. It is only like an additional 1d6 damage to someone. So this is fairly niche and not doing too much. This is probably the worst feature in the subclass, but it is what it is. They took out the multi-attack feature, which probably would have been better. And if you wanted to, you could put it back in. But yeah, that's the feature that they gave us. It is slightly additional damage, but it's not too much to write home about. Doing as much as it can, I guess. It's not crazy. And then at level 15, we get Superior Hunter's Defense, which when we take damage, we can take a reaction to give ourselves resistance to that damage and any other damage of the same type until the end of the current turn. So that's pretty decent there. This is it's kind of like an upgraded version of the Uncanny Dodge. So whenever you take damage on any turn, you could use a reaction, give yourself resistance to that damage, and then any other damage of the same type until the end of the current turn. So you could potentially resist a lot of damage from that attack, which pretty good. It's not a bad feature. It is completely different from the old Superior Hunter's Defense, which let you choose either evasion, stand against the tide, or uncanny dodge. But I think they wanted to make it unique, so that's why they changed it. And it's not a bad change. I like it. Pretty good. So those are all the changes to Ranger. So let's talk about it. What do I think? I think that the subclasses are major improvements. Unfortunately, I do think the Hunter subclass is still the weakest of the bunch. Superior Hunter's Prey is just not good. It's not good at all. And then, um, obviously, there are options here that are better than others. Like multi attack defense is the one that you're going to want to take. Oh, I didn't also talk about multi-attack defense is different. It gives disadvantage on attack rolls against you. The old version just gave you a +4 bonus to AC, which I think are about the same, realistically. So that's not that much of a difference. The ability to swap these out on a shorter long rest is pretty great. So there is some increased versatility there. But they really should have done something else here for this 11th level feature. This is just not doing it. Especially since Hunter's Mark is only a d6 damage. So it's not doing much. I mean, I guess you could technically do this on reaction attacks. But even then, it's not not something that you're going to be really getting a lot out of. So, Gloomstalker, I think, is pretty much the exact same in power level. Its changes have it does have some changes, but they're good changes, and it's still quite powerful. Fey Wander has always been good, and I think it continues to be good because there's not really any changes at all to it. It's still one of the most decent subclasses there. And then Beastmaster is greatly improved. It is essentially a completely different subclass, and you're getting a lot more bang for your buck with this this companion than you were with the old one. You're doing quite consistent damage, and your companion just helps you out in so many additional ways, and it's doing so much stuff on your turn that you're just getting a lot out of it. So it's a really good improvement. Now, I will say the base class is lacking. I really think it could have benefited from some additional features. Like, I do appreciate that we get Hunter's Mark always prepared. However, I really would have liked to see some improvements to Hunter's Mark itself, like maybe letting us cast it sometimes without concentration to increase the potency of it, since there are so many concentration spells on the Ranger spell list. Or I wish they would have just changed a whole lot of other spells and taken out concentration from them, which they didn't really do on the spell list at all. Nice that we get some expertises, some additional languages, but yeah, it doesn't really make up for just the lack of flavor in the Ranger. There's not a whole lot going on for it. We do get improvements to Hunter's Mark, but we don't get them until a 13th level, 17th level, and 20th level. And let's not even talk about like how bad of a capstone feature this is. This is the weakest capstone feature of any of the classes. Like, this is an additional like 3 damage maybe. Or 2 damage really. This increases your average from 3.5 extra damage to 5.5. So there's really not this. It's an abysmal capstone feature. They really needed something else at level 20. I think this is fine. This is okay to get at level 20, but they needed another feature at level 20 as the main capstone feature. And they really just needed something else to increase the versatility at Hunter's Mark. Like, at 10th level, there could have been, since we're getting this at 20th level, why not at 10th level give us a feature that increased Hunter's Mark to a D8? That would have been something. But for some reason they didn't do that. Yeah, I think Ranger is okay, but as we look at it, it becomes very apparent that Ranger is not performing well at later levels. It's pretty potent at early levels because we do get quite a few features that give additional damage to it. But as we get later in the game, there's really nothing at later levels to improve our damage potential, so there is quite a bit of a drop off. And I know Treant Monk is going to talk about this because he has looked at the Ranger and determined that it's the lowest. It has the lowest damage potential of any of the other martial classes. Unfortunately, sucks. So it really needed something in these later levels to increase its damage potential, and it just didn't get anything worth having, or it didn't get anything that did that. It didn't. It needed something else. It really needed something else, and we didn't get it. So it is a disappointment. However, if you want to play a ranger, you're gonna. This is greatly improved over the 2014 version. That goes without saying. It's greatly improved. It's just not the best class, and honestly, it's probably the least improved in terms of at least damage potential. There's a lot that you can do as a ranger, but if you're looking to deal the most damage, you're probably not going to do as much as other martial characters, which is sad. But I would like to talk about how to maybe improve that. And so in the next video, I'm going to talk about some optional class features that we could add to the Ranger that would improve this small detriment and maybe improve the versatility of the Ranger and what it can do. It'll at least make it slightly better, in my opinion. Now, I feel like it's worth talking about. And I really don't want to change the class any more than it's been done. So these will be features that you can add or not add, and you can choose. So that will be the next video. But until then, thanks for watching. I greatly appreciate your support. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more from me. All we have left in these class deep dives are the Barbarian and the what's the last one? Barbarian and I think Druid. There's two. I know two jump. No, I did Druid. It's the Barbarian and Cleric, I think. So I'll figure it out. I don't remember exactly, but I know I'm missing two of them. So yeah, I'll finish the rest of these probably next week. So yeah, thank you for watching. I appreciate your support, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Have a good one. See you later. Bye.